12,000 pounds of $100 bills smuggled out of the Minneapolis airport in suitcases, for heaven's sake. 60 people, I think, have been charged with wrongdoing as part of this corruption scheme. But here's the deal. The leaders of this organization, this fraud outfit, came and met with the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, directly. They talked to him for 54 minutes. This was back in 2021, and complained to him that they were being investigated, heaven forbid.
What you're about to hear is not routine politics. It's not partisan talking points. It's a jaw-dropping exchange about $1 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T. Allegedly lost to fraud every single year. During a tense Senate hearing, a senator confronted DOJ nominee Mr. McDonald with one simple question. Is accountability finally coming? If you care about government spending, corruption, and where your tax dollars are really going, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below. Do you believe accountability is finally coming? Let's break this down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonald, congratulations on your nomination. It comes not a moment too soon. Yet 2 weeks ago, the CEO of LexisNexis told me under oath that the federal government, according to their estimates, to their own expert research, loses $1 trillion per year to fraud. $1 trillion. That's more than the entire defense budget for this year. A more conservative estimate, the GAO's estimate, is that the federal government loses about $521 billion to fraud every year. That's about the budget of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Either way, we're talking about just enormous amounts. And of course, we've seen it on display in states recently like Minnesota. And my question to you is, are we going to see some more accountability coming for the fraud that has been perpetrated on this country, particularly in places like Minnesota? I mean, is accountability coming?
Senator, our goal will be to bring accountability. It will not be easy, but we will work tirelessly to bring that accountability to ensure that the fraud that we are seeing annually is erased.
Let me just give you one example of the kind of accountability I think we need to see. The Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, was in front of a committee of mine, and under oath, I would just say, just a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Ellison is right at the center of the scandal, the Somali fraud scandal that has rocked that state. Just to take one piece of it, a group called Feeding Our Future, as you probably know, defrauded the federal government of at least $250 million. $250 million that did not go to feed the homeless. It did not go to feed the poor. It did not go to feed children. Instead, it bought yachts. It bought luxury planes. It bought fancy vacations. It was smuggled out of the Minneapolis airport in suitcases. 12,000 pounds of $100 bills smuggled out of the Minneapolis airport in suitcases, for heaven's sake. 60 people, I think, have been charged with wrongdoing as part of this corruption scheme. But here's the deal. The leaders of this organization, this fraud outfit, came and met with the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, directly. They talked to him for 54 minutes. This was back in 2021, and complained to him that they were being investigated, heaven forbid. And he offered to help them. They repeatedly offered him campaign contributions, and we know this because they recorded the meeting. 54 minutes of recording that we have, because the fraudsters recorded the meeting. Ellison tried to deny it. It's all on tape. They offer him money repeatedly, and he says things like this. I think we may have a poster of it. He says, we are in the middle of the battle with agencies now who are investigating them. He says, he's the Attorney General of the state. He says, Waltz, meaning the governor, agrees with me that this piddly, stupid stuff running small people out of business is terrible. Piddly, stupid stuff, meaning investigation for mass fraud. He goes on to say, just to be able to say, just getting the question, just getting the inquiry from the Attorney General is sometimes enough to make people knock it off. In other words, he offered repeatedly to help them get rid of the investigations that were ongoing into this group. Even as they were sitting there, he said to them, I am directing my staff right now to intervene on your behalf. And then just days after he met with them, he took $10,000 in campaign contributions, including from individuals who were indicted by the federal government for fraud. He's been charged with nothing. And in fact, he sat where you're sitting under oath, and he denied to me he took any money at all. I've got it right here. It's in his own campaign finance reports. $10,000, including from indicted individuals and others who are associated with this group, members of this group, that defrauded the federal government of $250 million. My question to you is, are we going to see accountability for people like that? Are we going to see heads roll for people who are in the middle of this fraud and enabled it and protected the fraudsters and defended it and used their office in order to help people get away with crimes?
Senator, first, that is certainly not how law enforcement is supposed to work. When there is evidence and when investigators are digging into potential crime, to then have lead law enforcement try to close up that shop and turn away the investigators. That's not how law enforcement is supposed to work, and it's certainly not how law enforcement is going to work in the Department of Justice and in the National Fraud Enforcement Division. The vision that we have is a division that is large enough where no fraud is too big and no fraud is too small, so that we can reach all actors within the chain of criminal culpability, and no one more than that, only those within the chain of criminal culpability. Those are the ones that we are going to be looking after, investigating, and following the facts without fear or favor.
Good. I think that's absolutely vital. I think it's long overdue. You said that no fraud is too big or too small. I hope that will also mean that no elected official is too big or too small, because those who helped enable this fraud, those who stopped investigations, they should be prosecuted too. If we don't get accountability, as you know, Mr. McDonald, this will never stop, and we need accountability now.
So here we are, a $1 trillion question, promises of reform, and a nation watching closely. Will this be the moment real accountability begins? Or will this become just another hearing, another headline, another forgotten promise? If you believe government fraud must be investigated at every level, smash that like button. Subscribe for more in-depth political breakdowns. And comment below. Should elected officials face prosecution if they enable fraud? The conversation is just getting started. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one.